On August 29, 1973, the midget submarine Pisces 3, the name is Latin for fish and is pronounced Pisces, was lying on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, about 100 miles from Ireland. The 2 men in it were just finishing a 6-hour work shift, for the submarine's job was to help in laying transatlantic telephone cables. On the surface above them was the mother ship, Voyager, a specialized cable-laying ship. Their work done, the men were looking forward to breakfast and some sleep. They requested permission to rise, and this was granted, so the Pisces 3 slowly surfaced, but just as it was nearly back on board the Voyager, something went wrong. A cable slipped and the small submarine fell back into the water. As it did so, part of the submarine, not, fortunately, the main working area where the 2 men were flooded, and Pisces 3 went into an uncontrollable dive towards the seabed, finally coming to rest nose down at a depth of 500 meters. The men were uninjured and had enough air for 3 days. They could still communicate with Voyager by radio. The captain of the Voyager immediately reported the accident to his head office, and an international rescue attempt began. A submarine had never before been recovered from such a depth. There were few submersible vessels in the world which could operate at that depth, and these could work only with the specialized surface ships. Meanwhile, the men's life support system would run out after 3 days. The experts were privately very pessimistic. Simultaneously, several things were arranged. Pisces 2, a sister ship to the unlucky submarine, would be flown out from England to Cork, in Ireland, which was the nearest place to the accident, having both an airport and port facilities. Pisces V, another sister ship just built, would be flown over from Canada. Royal Navy ships would go to where the Voyager was, so that they could stay in contact with the men on the seabed while Voyager sailed to Cork to collect the 2 submarines. In addition, an American submarine known as CURV, for a controlled underwater reconnaissance vessel, would also be flown to Cork, and a Canadian cable-laying ship would arrive there to collect it and its team of operators. At first all went well, but because of the distances involved, it was late on Thursday before Voyager returned with its cargo to the scene of the accident. The 2 submariners were cold and hungry, but were otherwise well after a day and a half below the water. Soon they were relieved to hear on the radio that Pisces 2 had been sent down to look for them. After several hours of searching, it failed to pinpoint their location. Then it developed a small leak, which forced it to return to the mothership for repairs. Next, it was the turn of Pisces V, with its Canadian crew. It too made the long descent, and began to search through the thick black water. It found Pisces 3, and moved in to attempt to attach a line. But here too, there were problems. Pisces 3 had come to rest on the bottom of the sea at a sharp angle, so it proved impossible to attach the normal hook and line. All that Pisces V could do was attach a thin line, not strong enough to lift the trapped vessel. Pisces 2 was being repaired and CURV was not yet ready, so Pisces V stayed down until, after 19 hours in the sea, its batteries were exhausted and it had to be taken to the surface. Pisces 3 had then been under the water for 51 hours, with only 24 hours remaining before the life support system would fail. At 4 a.m. on Saturday, September 1, Pisces 2, its leak repaired, and armed with a specially made locking mechanism, dived again. This time, in little over an hour, success came. The mechanism worked, and a strong line was attached to Pisces 3. But would this be enough? If the line should slip off when the attempt to lift the submarine was made, the rescuers might lose contact with Pisces 3 again. It was therefore decided to put CURV into operation. There was just enough time to give it one chance to fix a second line. Here the technique was different, for CURV was unmanned. Its operators stayed on a ship above water, directing it by remote control, seeing its movements only through the eyes of its television cameras. But again luck was with them, and at 10:35 a.m. CURV succeeded in attaching a second strong line to Pisces 3. With only a few hours of oxygen remaining, men were finally on their way up. The lift was rough, and they were knocked around, but the lines held firm, and when the vessel was within 50 feet of the surface, frogmen were able to reach it and fasten several more lines, just in case. Eventually, at 1:17 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, Pisces 3 surfaced again, and the men were immediately helped out and onto the Voyager, exhausted and starving, but otherwise in good condition. Thanks to an efficient international rescue effort, the deepest ever submarine recovery had been safely completed.